Hey, before the beginning of this video, I want to apologize. This video has been delayed. This has been recorded a few weeks ago at this point. I know we're about 10 games into the regular season for most teams, but I did want to get these videos out. I was having computer issues, thus I wasn't able to upload it. It just kept crashing on me. So hope you enjoy the video. Expect more content. I got the computer fixed, and let's get ready to go.
Well, let's get into the last team of the Atlantic Division, our final roundup of the season previews.
Here it comes.
The Toronto Maple Leafs. They have currently 0 in cap space because they don't know how to spend money. Let's kind of get into it. They have Austin Matthews, 11.6 mil. John Tavares, 11 mil. Mitch Marner, 10.9 mil. William Nylander at $6.9 million. Kerfoot at 3.5. And then, you have some notables here, like Bunting's done well for them thus far this season, an efficient contract. Wayne Simmons, I think he got waived, if I remember correctly. So that's going to be interesting to kind of see how that situation plays out. Let's go to the defense. Morgan Riley, 7.5. Jake Muzzin, 5.65. TJ Brody, 5. Justin Hall, 2 mil. Rasmus Sandin, who they need to play well, and he looks like he probably has some upside to him at 1.4. Mark Giordano signing $800K cap hit is very good for them. He's a veteran. He was effective last year, but I don't think you should overpay for that. And then goaltending, you got Ilya Samsonov, 1.8 mil. You have the guy they had to call up, Eric Colligren, $750K minimum contract. Matt Murray is making $4.687 mil. And he's already on LTIR.
God damn.
They cannot get break. They got Liljegren on LTIR and Jordy Ben on LTIR. It is unfortunate. Let's get into the depth chart here. Because some Leaf fans weren't happy with us with some of even what I said regarding their team in other videos. But I think some of this might be coming to truth about what we were talking about regarding their goaltending situation. But we'll get to that.
It got proven against Montreal. Just saying.
Yeah. You got Michael Bunting on there, the left wing, 2 points in 3 games. He's played solid with Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner. We both know what they can bring. Marner and Matthews can be much maligned for their contract, but you cannot deny they are phenomenal players. You got William Nylander, John Tavares, and Denis Malgin. Tavares, 4 points, 3 games. Tavares is hated in the Toronto fan base for whatever reason. They're the ones who got him to that contract. Tavares is still an extremely effective player, one of the better centers in the league. Has he taken a step back a bit, maybe with his foot speed? Possibly, but he's still one of the best guys in the league, and I think just because he's in Toronto, he gets much maligned.
I'm going to stop you right there. Looking at 3 games, he is the best forward on that team right now. Period. So what do you have to complain about? The guy does this every year. He is proven to always be competitive for one of the top players on the team that he's on.
It's ridiculous. Like his last season, right? 79 games played. 27 goals, 49 assists for 76 points, just under a point per game. Shortened season, 56 games, 19 goals, 31 assists, 50 points. It's like, if you look at his time in Toronto, he's always been just under a point per game or at a point per game. I think if you actually round it out, he's a point per game player in Toronto. You could not ask much more out of Tavares. You just can't. Going into the third line, you got Pierre Engvall with Alexander Kerfoot and Jean-Roch. I'm going to just, whatever. How the fuck you say that? I give up at this point.
I saw the name. I'm sorry, but I saw the name, and I just closed my eyes. I closed my eyes because I was like, oh, it's about to happen.
It's about to butcher it. But then I do like Kerfoot a lot. I think at 3.5, I think Kerfoot, is there super, super high upside? No. But I think in certain situations, Kerfoot could be a second line center. But I think he's more appropriate here in this third line role. Is 3.5 a bit much for a guy like that? Maybe, but he gives you consistent two-way play. And then here on the fourth line, you got Zach Austin Reese, David Kampf, and then Nicolas Aube-Kubel, rounding out the fourth line. I think for the offense, I think it's kind of this. I like the top two lines. I think Bunting has seemed like he's kind of fitting into that role of just standing there and hitting the net or like passing the puck to the two better players. But I mean, there's nothing crazy you have to do there. I think when you have two players like Matthews and Marner on one line and then Nylander and Tavares on the other, like your line's gonna succeed, right?
You have one job.
Yeah, like one job.
Just get the puck. Get the puck.
Just get out the freaking way.
That's it.
But like I think I mean the bottom six. I mean, Engvall had 35 points last season. I mean, not bad, just solid. I mean, I think I'll give Toronto this. I actually think they do have an excellent offense when they play a certain style of game, because there's a lot of high end upside here. So I'll go with like a very good to an excellent offensive output here for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
For me, with these forwards, it's one of those situations, right? I'm gonna keep it very clear. They've for the past I don't know how many years, they've been excellent,
right?
Excellent, offensively, find ways to win. Great players. Obviously, they have a great fan base that supports them in many ways, except for Tavares for whatever reason again. But they always do very well throughout the season.
True.
I'm not worried about these guys during the season. These guys are gonna score. They're gonna make magic happen. These guys are gonna get better and keep doing that. Yep. My concern with these forwards is none of these guys know how to win in the playoffs, and not just win a game. That's not what I mean. I just mean I think that they're so mentally broken. So mentally broken that they're beating themselves before they even start a playoff series.
I mean, I think some people are made with that mental makeup. Some aren't. I don't know if this team is. Tavares with the Islanders, it's not like he had a career of playoff success. He was always known as a very good player on a terrible team. Matthews and Marner are not like Nylander. It's not without question to argue. Like, are they good enough to play in the postseason? Are they good enough to elevate their teams to get past that? And they haven't. It says they have all the talent up on the upside offensively, but I don't know. It just seems like they lack that kind of killer instinct to put it into another gear.
It just doesn't translate. And it's scary. Listen, Toronto fans, right? I'm not throwing shade on your team, or I'm not trying to down talk your team or downplay your team at all. You have to understand, you have one of the best teams, but when you get into the playoffs, they're non-existent.
Yeah.
You know, I just question if they've made enough changes to really change that makeup going into the playoffs. That's it.
Well, that's going to be interesting to see. I mean, maybe another year older, another year wiser, these guys could finally come into their own.
They're going to be Gandalf saves before they figure it out.
Oh, Jesus. Let's get into... I don't want all the Toronto people hate our podcast.
No. And I didn't mean that. I'm just saying, like, how long is a franchise going to really wait before they say, you know what? We need to break some of these guys up and get a different mentality in here for the playoffs, because winning the regular season and being one of the best teams in the regular season is great, but if that doesn't translate to the playoffs, what are you really doing? Nothing.
Let's get into the decor. Yep. You got Morgan Riley, three assists and 3 points in 3 games, but he's on -3. TJ Brody, 1 point, -3. Jake Muzzin, Justin Hall. Justin Hall's actually looked pretty solid out there, kind of been pounding in some minutes. Mark Giordano doing his thing, one assist, 1 point, 3 games, and then Rasmus Sandin, who they need to kind of take that next step, 1 assist and 1 point. I mean, the thing here is defensively, and I've said this for years. I think Morgan Riley's like he's masquerading as a 1 when he's really like a 2. I mean, like he's not to me a number 1 defenseman. I think defensively at times he has some lapses. I think there's some offensive upside, but I'm not the biggest fan of him. When I've watched him night in, night out throughout some seasons, some of the bonehead stuff, it's like, huh? TJ Brody, I mean, solid, effective defenseman, came over from the Flames. You got Jake Muzzin, obviously won some cups, I believe, with the Los Angeles Kings. Like, Jake Muzzin brings a lot of effectiveness to his game. Justin Hall, he can be even maligned there, too, in the Leafs fandom. Big defenseman, 6'4", 210. I mean, sometimes makes some boneheaded plays. You have an older pairing here with, well, not really older, but like an old man here, I should say, Mark Giordano, rounding out that bottom third pairing with Rasmus Sundin. I think some of the names are there, right? Some of the names are there, but I don't like. To me, is Giordano going to be as effective as he was last season? Can Jake Muzzin, be healthy? Can Justin Hall stay on this path? I just look at like a very average decor. That's what I feel like Toronto is. I think it's always been one of their biggest Achilles heel. Has been their defense. So I don't know. I think I just look at until they prove me wrong. I mean, I think they have some players in here that are extremely good, but then others that can be like, eh. So I'm just gonna say average decor for me with Toronto.
I'm gonna say they're a good defensive core. My problem is definitely the age thing, right? You've brought in some guys a little bit older, and it just isn't gonna translate to them because at this point, Toronto doesn't need to worry about the regular season.
No.
Right? They're way past that. They're one of the more elite teams in the NHL when it comes to the regular season. I'm going to just say it flat out. They're one of the best teams in the NHL all season long.
Right.
The people that you're bringing in should not only consist of the same type of pedigree for the season, but help you elevate to that next level.
True.
Now, the guys that you brought in, are those the guys that are going to help you get over that hump? That is my question to Toronto fans. Do you think that these guys, these defensemen that they brought in, are they the ones that are going to help you get over that hump? That we have even me as a Ranger fan, I've been waiting for Toronto to win a series for quite some time. Because I want to see them get further. Because they're due. They are so due. And it hurts to see a good team not being able to be what they are at the most crucial time of the season. Right? So I'm not even going to talk about this defensive core as far as like the regular season. Yeah, they're going to be good. It's fine. But I'm looking at the end of the season, the playoffs.
Yeah.
Did they do enough to take these guys to that next level?
I mean, I do think you got Muzzin, you have Brody. I mean, I do think you have some solid competent defenders. I just worry with some guys with age like Giordano, especially, like, will he be able to be contributing that much as the season goes on? I think the playoffs are far more difficult, and I think, they're going to have to really elevate their game. And they need to have more youth in this lineup. I mean, man, like, when you're looking at this decor, it's very old.
Yeah, listen, I want to point something out. Calgary, we're struggling to even get into the playoffs.
True.
He leaves, they are playoff bound. Easy.
I mean, yeah.
Just saying. You got to look at the track record of some of these players that you're bringing in and realize what's happening and what may be good for you, what may not be good for you. In a scenario like this, I'm just saying it's a little bit proven. I'm not saying he's a bad player. He's a very good player. That's why he's still playing, right? Yeah. But at the end of the day, look at the realistic situation. Just saying.
So let's get into the goaltenders here. Now, my boy Matt Murray is already out for 4 weeks. So he had one game played, 8.26 save percentage, 4.07 goals against, 0-1 record. Not so hot. Ilya Samsonov, 2 games played, 2.02 goals against, 9.26 save percentage, 2 wins and 0 losses. And then they have an backup in Eric Colligren, who I'm going to look into because I'm not as familiar with. Yeah, he did some time in the ECHL, SHL, the Liga. I mean, he looks kind of like like a meh, like a border. He's more of an AHLer, looks like, if I'm being honest with you. Listen, I'm glad Samsonov came out to a strong start, and I'm hoping, for Leafs fans' mental health, he can continue this. But Samsonov is one of these goalies that's very hot and cold. He can have really good starts and then really kind of fade. I mean, he is the definition of consistent because both seasons he was a .908 save percentage. So, I mean, maybe there's more to give there with Samsonov, but I don't know. I think he's just an okay to marginal player. Like, he's probably like a very good backup to below average starter. Eric Colgren, he's obviously not the answer, so they're going to probably run with Samsonov as much as they can. Matt Murray is a very Jekyll and Hyde goalie. He kind of had a little bit of a bounce back last season before he got hurt, but now again, he's hurt again. He had a horrific first game, and I don't know. I mean, I think this is the worst tandem, or one of the worst tandems in the NHL. I think that with Matt Murray, expecting him to kind of carry any type of load is foolish. I think they don't have anything really for depth for goaltending, right? And they can't spend money because they have no cap. So they're going to have to kind of go with these guys that are from like overseas or down in the AHL. Hopefully they stick for them. And I mean, if with this backup, like for Samsonov and Colligan, I think this is not a good tandem at all. I think Samsonov and Matt Murray, it's a below average tandem. I don't. Some people look at the like more analytics with Matt Murray and say, well, 5-5, an actual true save percentage, he was pretty good. But I feel like with Matt Murray, it's just ever since those, was it 1 or 2 cups there with the Penguins? I mean, has he done anything? Like, has he shown you that he can be a bona fide starter? Has he shown you good quality play? Not really. I mean, I'm one of those guys, I just think at some point in time, a player is just exactly who he tells you who he is. It's not just potential. It's not, we used to be this way like 10 years ago. Like, no. Like, he's a very inconsistent goaltender, very Jekyll and Hyde, and at times he looks like an AHL goalie at the NHL. And Samsonov, I mean, average NHL goalie, good backup, marginal starter. I mean, like I said, below average tandem for me.
I have to agree with you. Below average. I think we spoke about this off the air quite a bit. It's like they took a step back in their goaltending situation. At the same time, I want to say that for the fans, it's tough, right? This is the weakest part of your team, and probably one of the most important parts. Not only in the regular season, but also in the playoffs. They need to, if they're going to look for somebody to come in and be a savior in that, they need to start getting young players games now. Take the losses early in the season. You know you're going to get the rest of the wins later. Yeah. But start looking now. Samsonov, he's okay. He's going to give you what he gives you every time. But you obviously need another goalie to help, and Matt Murray's not the guy.
No.
And if you expected him to be the number one, negative.
Yeah.
It really comes down to Samsonov and finding him a good backup. I'd say Matt Murray should be kept on IR for the rest of the year.
Oh, shit.
And
just put him in LTIR and tell him not to show up anymore. Yeah. And go home, don't show up to work. Decide.
I mean, I'm sorry. My man has a four goals against average in game 1. Like, that's it. Like, you gave him a chance.
I mean, I'll to be fair to Matt Murray, let's go into it real quick. I mean, he had a .906 save percentage in 20 games last season, .305, but then the season before that, a .893, and that season before that, .899, and then like since from 18-19, he's just been kind of like, he's been on a downward trend here for a bit, in my opinion, but like since 18-19, it's just not been great for him.
I don't know what they saw in him. I don't know what.
Listen, you can't say that. Look at that. 13 games played, .930, 2 save percentage. The next season, .923, 2.4. Like, any guy, any GM is going to be like, okay, and look at his playoff numbers too, 923, 937. Like, you're like, okay, he can take the next step. But like, I think with Matt Murray, I don't think it's all physical. I think some of it is mental. I think there's a mental block there because it's just like unless he had some injury that I'm not really thinking of coming to the forefront, like with his hip, I don't understand such the massive degradation in production. It's crazy.
I mean, I want you to understand this, right? Whatever the mental condition is, I hope he gets help because it's not the team surrounding him that's going to cause his mental block. Yeah. Right? Because he was on winning teams. So what caused your mental block to start downgrading from there? And then as far as the Toronto franchise, if he has a mental block and you see the downward trends, especially on teams that are no longer as competitive as they once may have been, or on a team that was towards the bottom of the division, what in your right mind makes you say, oh, I'm going to bring him here and he's going to be the super... Bro, you can't bro, mental health is a serious issue. You can't get over it from one day to the next. It doesn't happen that way. So if he's had a mental block for some time, which you can see, it starts taking its toll. He wasn't going to get over it coming here, and he's not going to help you. You want to save him? Cool. I appreciate you saving a life and trying to help him really get past this point. But I don't think that if you're looking for the success that Toronto is looking for, that you can afford to have that window. You need to have someone come in that is ready to go and ready to prove that they're a number one or even one of the better number twos. But Matt Murray, he comes in with baggage, and his baggage is not pretty.
No, I listen. I agree. I think with Matt Murray, it kind of comes down to I don't know if he'll ever get back there. He's relatively young for a goaltender, right? At being at the age of 28, I'm hoping for his sake that he can. But I think there's more going on than what we know. And quite frankly, it seems like he's made of glass at this point. Maybe not just physically. So let's kind of get into it. Toronto finished last season, 82 games. 54 wins, 21 losses, 7 overtime losses for 115 points, finishing second in the Atlantic Division. I think Toronto's going to take a step back, just alone due to the goaltending. I'm not as confident. I mean, people wanted to roast Jake Campbell, and Campbell hasn't had the most fantastic start at the beginning of his Oilers career, but, I mean, Campbell was a solid tender for them. I actually probably would take Campbell over Samsonov and Matt Murray when everyone's healthy. But I see Toronto finishing like third or fourth. They're a good regular season team.
Bro, get out of my head.
Yeah, I think third or fourth. I could actually feasibly see them slipping down to fifth, depending on how bad the goaltending situation gets. Like if Samsonov implodes, right, and Matt Murray implodes, and you just have essentially a shooter tutor out there, I could see this getting ugly for Toronto. I just think there's so much depth in this Atlantic Division, and I think you need to have good goaltending to see. Like, look at Florida. I mean, Spencer Knight, Bobrovsky. I'm not the biggest fan of Bobrovsky, but Spencer Knight can be a solid goalie. Tampa Bay, you know what they got. Boston, you know they got a good goalie tandem. I mean, Buffalo, they've improved. Detroit, they have a pretty solid goalie, but I would say even Detroit's is better than Toronto's. I mean, Ottawa, I think when healthy, better tandem. I mean, I think even with Jake Allen is better than both starting goalies in Toronto. I think Toronto has one of the weakest goaltending tandems in the division, and I think that, again, is going to be their Achilles heel, right? Everyone blames the defense and goaltending. Well, I don't think Toronto really has significantly upgraded in that situation. So I say third or fourth, possibly even fifth, depending on how the goaltending situation goes, but I'm thinking a regular season team where people play a little bit more loose. I could, 3 or 4 is probably the safe bet there for me. So, what's your thoughts?
I was on the same page, third or fourth. 5 is a possibility where everything implodes. But I think that they have enough firepower to end up in third or fourth. I feel like their offense is going to have to do all the heavy lifting and carry them all the way. But they're really going to have to fix that goalie situation. And even the defense, it's okay. but again, they need to do something different. They need to bring in someone younger, someone that's gonna go for the team, like like fight for the team, bleed blue kind of thing.
Yeah.
And really like just like be all in, because you have these older guys, and yeah, the paycheck is good. They have a lot of good forwards. I just think that forwards are number one in this scenario for them, right?
Yeah.
And then defense kind of falls right behind them. It kind of just goes in order. But their problem starts at number 3, which is the goalies. Number 2, it's not horrific,
Yeah.
but it can definitely get improved.
Yeah, I agree. So, I mean, well, let's wrap it up here. This is the final ending of our previews. If you enjoyed these videos thus far, we greatly appreciate it. We here at the Locker Room would love for you to subscribe, like, comment down below. Give us your thoughts about each individual team, where you think your team's going to finish. Toronto fans, we're not coming out to hate you. I'm just looking at things from a realistic situation. We'd love to have you on the channel because there's a lot of good in Toronto. Let's not kid ourselves. Like, your offensive firepower, I think anyone would love to have a Matthews, Marner, Tavares, or Nylander type player on their team. It's there. I just think there needs to be improvements in other areas. But like I said, let us know your thoughts down below. I'm Captain Paul. That's Fajardo. We are the Locker Room, and we'll see you in the next episode. Peace. Oh, wait. Just because I'm not going to edit this because I'm too lazy, we will also be bringing you a weekly podcast, doing week reviews, and then updates from time to time when big news hits the radar. So, again, see you in the next one.